everyone, my name's Angelica and I own Stitch and Resin Creations, and this video is going to be me doing a pattern. So there's this cute little kitty pattern by the Wonder Crochet. I have someone who wanted me to do a cat pattern, so I printed out their cute little cat. Here she is. And I'm going to try focus. Okay, it doesn't look like it's going to focus. Okay, whatever. Well, you see it. I'm going to try and make this cat with the Wonder Crochet pattern. And I figured I should see how long it takes me, so I'm going to time myself, and this video is just all about making this cat. So yeah, I'll have a timer, we'll keep track of how long it takes me, and here we go. So I wanted to come on here, and so for this cat pattern that I had to do for this customer, I needed yarn. And at the time, I had just found out that Sweet Snuggles Light yarn, there was issues with it. Like, I was like totally, like, it went over my head. I didn't even like, I just happened to hear it during a live that I was following another crocheter, and they were talking about it in the live, and I was like, wait, what? So I didn't even like realize the Sweet Snuggles Light was having problems with the formulas and that they were going to be in the store. So at the time, I had gone to Micheals looking for some, well, I was really looking for white brunette yarn, and I was like, well, if they don't have the white, I can get Sweet Snuggles Light. And so, like, I was like, oh no, I heard this news, and I was like, oh no, please, please, please be some white yarn, because I really needed it for this order. So I went in, and I was looking around, and it was really sparse. Like, there wasn't much yarn there at all. There was like the really big, like, super, super bulky, whatever that next level, like, I like to work in the super bulky 6 one. Like, they had a lot of 7 and 8 yarns there, or really small, like, acrylic yarns. But like the basic, like, Sweet Snuggles Light, the chenilles, the brunette, like, they, like, the basic colors they didn't have. They were really sparse. So in this video that you're about to see, it's going to show you like how there was like just sections of yarn missing. And I wanted to come on and talk about this really quick. I never had bad like experience at Micheals before. But this Micheals, like, this is the same Micheals, the only Micheals in my area I always go to. I've never had like a bad experience. But it was like, she was just, the person I asked for help, she was just unhelpful. Like, I had also made an order to pick up, and I was like, oh, I need more white or whatever. She was really unhelpful. I was trying to ask her about like what was going on, like, can you find this yarn on your website? And I was like, yeah, I couldn't. It was just, she was super unhelpful and a little rude. And I was like, oh, okay. I had to get my daughter. I had to pick her up as tall as I can go, on my tiptoes as high as she can go, to get some white yarn from the very top shelf in the little like cardboard boxes that they put on the very top shelf, like twice. Because I was like, oh, there's white yarn up there, because there was none down, even open areas down like in eye level, there was nothing. So I had to have my daughter, after talking to her, after she was no help, to go and reach up and grab what I needed. Thank God I was able to find 1 white Sweet Snuggles Light skein, and 2, and 1 brunette, black brunette, I think it was. Yeah. And then I went to the cashiers and I needed help because I wanted to return something that I bought. Because at the time, I never like realized that Sweet Snuggles is the next size up while Sweet Snow is Light is a 6. So I didn't realize there were 2 different things until like that day too. I was like, oh, this is actually, oh my god. Oh my god, guys, look at this. So I don't know if you guys just got that, but there was one of these whipper snakes. They're called whippet snakes. It's like they're black and then they're brown at the end. And this thing was like this, 5 feet, probably as tall as I was. He was running across our road with a rodent in his mouth, and then a hawk came down behind him. I think the hawk was going to try to fight the snake. But there's like a huge fallen pine tree branch right there. So it escaped into the pine tree branch. Oh my god, I wish I had caught it on film. That was the craziest thing. I mean, wildlife is crazy, but I just did not expect to see that just right now. Oh my goodness, I wish I had caught that. Okay, back to Micheals. So I had to wait for a customer to come over, and I could see that same lady talking to 2 other employees over in the corner. And I don't know, I just felt like they were talking about me, because just the way they were like sitting, gossiping, and like they kept looking over at me. And I was like, I know they probably weren't, but you know, you just get that feeling and like you think they are. So I don't know, I've just never had that experience before. I've gone back to that Micheals since then, and I've seen her again, and she's been like nicer. I don't know what was wrong with her that day, but I was disapproving, disappointing. I guess that's the word I was looking for. Alright, back to the video. So that's it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me make this custom cat, and the person who bought it for me really loved it and said it looks just like her cat, and she really liked how I was able to get all the markings correct on the animal. So I just wanted to say thank you to the person who bought this, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week. Bye!